Have you ever noticed how some people can walk into a room and immediately change the atmosphere without saying a word? How certain individuals command attention, not through loud gestures or constant talking, but through something far more subtle and powerful? Imagine being that person, the one others think twice before crossing, the one whose time feels valuable, the one who never needs to raise their voice to be heard. What if I told you that most people lose respect without even realizing it's happening? Think about your own life for a moment. When was the last time someone canceled plans with you and didn't bother to apologize? When did you send a message that sat unanswered for days while that same person posted actively on social media? Have you found yourself always being the one who adjusts your schedule, who explains yourself repeatedly, who chases conversations that others seem to drop effortlessly? These aren't isolated incidents. They're symptoms of something deeper, something most people never want to admit. You've become someone others feel comfortable using rather than someone they genuinely respect. The truth cuts deeper than we'd like to acknowledge. We live in a world that constantly preaches kindness, empathy, and unconditional positivity. Everyone tells you to be understanding, to give people second chances, to always see the best in others. But underneath all that pleasant noise runs a brutal current of reality. Power dynamics exist in every relationship, whether we admit it or not. The people who truly hold influence rarely announce it. They don't perform their confidence on social media. They don't explain their boundaries repeatedly. They simply move differently, and others instinctively adjust around them. Niccolo Machiavelli understood human nature in ways that make most modern self-help advice look like children's stories. He observed something that remains just as true today as it was 5 centuries ago. Humans do and respect what is always available. We respect what has options, what can walk away, what doesn't desperately need our approval. When people sense that you need them more than they need you, something shifts permanently in the relationship. You become the one constantly adjusting, apologizing, explaining, and accommodating. Your time becomes negotiable. Your boundaries become suggestions rather than rules. But here's what most people miss entirely: this dynamic isn't fixed. You're not permanently locked into being the accommodating one, the understanding one, the person everyone calls when they need something, but forgets when things are good. The shift toward genuine respect doesn't require you to become cruel or cold. It doesn't mean transforming into someone unrecognizable. It means understanding the invisible rules that govern how humans actually perceive and value each other, then applying those rules with surgical precision. Consider how a king moves through his kingdom compared to how a servant navigates the same space. The king isn't rushed. He doesn't appear everywhere simply because someone requests his presence. His time operates on a different frequency, and others must synchronize with it rather than expecting him to constantly adjust to their rhythms. The servant, meanwhile, runs from demand to demand, always available, always flexible, always ready to rearrange everything at a moment's notice. Which one commands respect? Which one do people hesitate before approaching? Your availability is the first battleground where respect is either built or destroyed. Every time you drop everything to respond immediately, every time you rearrange your priorities because someone else expresses mild discomfort, every time you make yourself endlessly flexible, you're teaching people a dangerous lesson. You're showing them that your time has no real protection, that your energy has no genuine boundaries, that access to you comes without cost or consideration. Think about the people in your life who command your respect. Do they answer your messages within seconds? Do they always say yes to your invitations? Do they constantly explain their decisions to you? Probably not. There's a natural distance there, a sense that reaching them requires genuine intention rather than casual impulse. That distance isn't accidental. It's constructed through consistent patterns of behavior that communicate a simple message. I move according to my own plan, and others must fit into it rather than expecting me to constantly orbit around their needs. This isn't about playing games or being artificially unavailable just to seem important. It's about genuinely valuing your time and energy enough to protect them. When you respond slower, commit more carefully, and choose your engagements with deliberate thought, something interesting happens. People begin to hesitate before reaching out. They ask themselves whether the request is truly worth your time and attention. That moment of hesitation, that small pause where they reconsider whether to bother you, that's where respect begins to take root. The power of silence remains one of the most misunderstood tools in human interaction. Most people fear empty space in conversation. They rush to fill every gap with words, explanations, nervous laughter, or unnecessary elaboration. They believe that talking more makes them more convincing, more likable, more safe. But the opposite is actually true. When your mouth moves faster than your mind, you hand over your power voluntarily. You become predictable, readable, and easy to manipulate. Watch what happens when you hold back your words instead of rushing to respond. People begin to reveal themselves in ways they never would if you kept talking. They over-explain. They justify. They confess things you never even asked about. All because you created space through your silence, and humans instinctively try to fill that space. While they're busy revealing their insecurities, motivations, and true intentions, you're learning everything about them while exposing nothing about yourself. That imbalance is pure strategic advantage. When someone challenges you or says something provocative, your instinct might be to defend yourself immediately. But that instant reaction gives away more than you realize. It shows that their words affected you, that they successfully pushed your buttons, that your emotions can be manipulated through the right trigger. Instead, try something different. Pause. Let their words hang in the air. Look at them calmly. Breathe. That small delay communicates something far more powerful than any quick comeback could achieve. It signals that you're not operating from emotion, but from calculation. And people instinctively respect what feels calculated, even when they can't articulate why. Your silence becomes a test that others consistently fail. They grow uncomfortable in that space. They soften their tone. They rephrase their challenge. They backtrack without you saying a single word in defense. The pressure they feel comes not from your arguments, but from your refusal to release the tension through immediate reaction. You held the space, and that holding demonstrates a kind of dominance that volume could never achieve. But silence alone isn't enough. You need an invisible line that others sense but cannot see. This line represents what you will and won't accept in how people treat you. Most people never establish this boundary clearly, even in their own minds. They allow jokes that cut too deep, comments that diminish them, behavior that slowly erodes their dignity. They laugh along, pretend it doesn't sting, then wonder why nobody takes their feelings seriously. When there's no line, there's no risk in offending you. And when there's no risk, respect cannot exist. This line doesn't need to be announced or explained repeatedly. It gets established through your reactions when someone crosses it. Not overreactions. Those look unstable and emotional. Cold, measured, immediate consequences. When someone steps over your boundary, your warmth withdraws instantly. Your face changes, your energy tightens. You don't yell or lecture or demand apologies. You simply become less available, less open, less engaged with that person. The atmosphere shifts because you shifted it, and they feel the difference, even if they can't quite name what changed. Over time, people begin to notice that you're not someone they can casually disrespect. They might test others harshly, but with you, they adjust their approach. They choose words more carefully. They sense that one misstep could close a door they cannot easily reopen. That subtle tension is exactly what you want. Not fear in the dramatic sense, but a healthy awareness that access to you comes with expectations and violations have consequences. Throughout all of this, you're also revealing less while observing more. Most people hand over detailed maps of their inner worlds to anyone who asks. They share their fears, dreams, struggles, weaknesses, and pressure points far too freely. This feels like connection and openness, but in the wrong hands, it becomes a tactical manual for manipulation. When people know exactly what triggers you, what you desperately want, and what you cannot stand losing, they can move you like a piece on a board. Stop being an open book. Become selective about what parts of your mind and story you place in front of others. Answer questions without rushing. Respond just enough to be polite, but not enough to expose your full inner landscape. Leave spaces unfilled. When others keep talking, you're watching, noticing how they treat people weaker than themselves, how they act when there's nothing to gain, what patterns emerge when they think nobody's paying close attention. This observation turns you from someone who merely reacts into someone who understands the game being played. The person who remains calm when others expect you to break holds immeasurable power. When tension rises and everyone around you starts cracking, raising voices, defending desperately, collapsing emotionally, your steady presence becomes magnetic. People remember how you handled pressure far more than how you behaved when everything was smooth. When they see that your posture, tone, and energy remain controlled even when events turn hostile, something shifts in how they perceive you. They may disagree with you or even dislike you, but they cannot deny your presence. Finally, speak with intention rather than volume. Every word should carry purpose. Choose language as if it were currency, spending it carefully rather than throwing it around freely. When you communicate deliberately, people lean in naturally. Your words become scarce, and scarcity always amplifies value. Others stop multitasking mentally when you talk because they sense that what you're saying matters. This isn't about dominating conversations. It's about making every statement count. These principles work together to create an undeniable shift in how people treat you. You're no longer someone they can casually use, dismiss, or disrespect without consequence. You've become someone they approach with consideration, someone whose time feels valuable, someone who commands respect, not through loudness, but through presence. The change happens quietly, without announcement, but everyone around you will feel it.